can you go back to the history of it, even prior to apartheid? Okay, go previous to that.
1652.
Okay, give me the history there. And
Okay.
then, others come in and take advantage of resources.
When was Mayflower? 1620.
Okay.
Okay. I checked when I came in here because I thought, hang on. So Mayflower, 1620.
Okay.
The first settlers, Dutch settlers in the Cape, 1650.
Okay.
When they got to the Cape, there were no black tribes, none in the Western Cape, all the way up to this place called the Fish River, 600 kilometers away. The black tribes had migrated down over 1,000 years from the Eastern Africa into South Africa. So they're settlers too. If they call us settlers, they're settlers. And they met. And there was peace, working together, and fighting, the usual story. Fast forward, the British then arrive in 1820, and then the late 1800s, gold is discovered. And everyone piles in. And then the British have they have the Zulu Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've been fighting all our career. Then they have the first Boer War, English Afrikaner, and then the second Boer War, English Afrikaner. And in 1910, South Africa, which was made up of a whole lot of different republics and provinces, was formed into this Union of South Africa. So South Africa as a country is only 114 years old. It's new, but it's big. It's twice the size of France. It's a very big country. And the Western Cape has nothing in common with KwaZulu-Natal, has nothing in common with the North, Mpumalanga. There are 26 different languages. The white tribe is made up of the Afrikaners of Dutch and German origin, but they really are white Africans. And the Anglos, like myself, also more English heritage. So there are two different white tribes. Then there's the Coloureds, who are a mix of white and black. The Indians, Indian South Africans. And then the blacks. And the black population of South Africa, I think there are 20-something tribes. Zulu, Xhosa, Sotho, Venda, Swane, all in different areas. It's a patchwork of individual communities. And therein lies the solution. I'll get to it quickly. We have to decentralize. We have to create autonomous regions, autonomous areas based around culture and ethnicity, and take decision-making from the top and urgently push it down. That's my solution. We can speak to that later.
What is the...
So we then had the First World War,
yeah,
where South Africa fought with the British and Allies. Second World War, where we fought with America and the UK. My father was South African Air Force, the Second World War. He's 99 this year.
You were saying that. That's unbelievable.
And sharp as a tack. He'll be watching this. He'll be watching this and saying, "Well done, Robbie, didn't swear."
So let me...
And then we get to 1948.
Yeah.
And in 1948, the Afrikaner National Party gets elected. And from 1948 to 1960, they begin the process of apartheid. And what apartheid, the word, stands for is separateness. You translate it directly, apartheid, separateness.
Mm-hmm.
And the intention was to have people develop separately so that the black South Africans would have their areas, the whites theirs. But, it did migrate into something that was patently unfair. More money was spent on white kids than black kids. The white people got the better areas. The black people had to carry passes. Apartheid became dysfunctional and evil in its latter stages. And in 1985, no one knows this, F.W. de Klerk and the Afrikaners in power decided internally apartheid was unsustainable. And between then and 1994, they put a process in place to remove apartheid. And he died. He was a Nobel Prize winner. And he worked with Mandela to create a great constitution and a peaceful transition of power.
In your opinion today, Mandela, good guy or bad guy?
Good guy in a very bad party, because the ANC always had as its original tenet a national democratic revolution. They're all trained by the Russians. They all believe in socialism or communism. Mandela managed to sit on top of that and say, I see a better way forward. But the ANC always had its evil within it, which is manifesting now.
Is it almost like they were waiting for Mandela to die and get out the way so they can do it the way they always wanted to do it?
Correct. People always go, where's the brain trust of the ANC? I said, well, there's not much brain and there is no trust. But there's this fundamental Soviet-trained philosophy that is manifesting itself. And it's a very slow burn. Like cultural Marxism in the West. They took time. They captured our universities here. They captured the left. They captured CNN, MSNBC. They do it over time and slowly, but it's a policy. And it's showing its face now in South Africa. But Donald Trump has noticed.
Yeah. So, you know, when I'm looking at South Africa and you're going through the history and you're looking at all this stuff, and you have different papers that come up. So you'll read this one paper that says, well, you know, South Africa's a great place for resources, natural resources. Go there, mine, make your money, great. But outside of that, for capitalism and commerce and building and ports and import and all that stuff, it's complicated. It's not built in the most best way.
In 1994, it was. We had some of the best ports, best airports, best railway system. We had more rail lines in South Africa than the rest of Africa put together. We were number 1 or number 2 gold producer in the world.
But that's known.
We're now number 22nd.
Wow.
The ANC has chased away so much foreign direct investment. I don't know how you can be that stupid, but they are.
And I think that's a very good measure to see how the administration is doing to attract people in. Because right now, if we look at FDI with U.S., what do you notice? 1.4 trillion.
And that was last week.
Then you got, yeah, exactly, 1 trillion. Then you got 600 billion from MBS from Saudi. You got Apple is saying $500 billion. So all this money, of course, Apple is here, but all these other countries are saying, I want to go and invest in the U.S. That is the biggest compliment to say, I want to do business here. The complete opposite is taking place in South Africa.
Everyone's pulling out. Shell just announced they're pulling out. Exxon's pulled out. And they find it's just too hard. South Africa's over-regulated. They've got racist laws. I don't know how anyone actually keeps doing business in South Africa.
I want to ask you about the president, but before I do so, I want to give you some fun facts that I pulled up. So one, the only country in the world that has 3 capitals. Is that true? That's what I say. So Pretoria Executive, Cape Town Legislative, and then Bloemfontein Judicial.
Yeah.
Then it has 11 languages. You said it's 26, but it says it's got 11 languages. Okay.
Okay. I think it's more than, let's
Is
go.
it?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the languages. How many languages does South Africa have? Can you pull it up? How many languages does South Africa? It says 12. Okay. So 12.
12 official.
12 official.
There are lots more unofficial.
Oh, got it. And recognizes at least 35 in total. Got it. Okay.
So my 26 was kind of...
you're there. So maybe slang will be the 36.
Bob,
but
stop putting me under pressure.
So this is a crazy one, and I want you to speak on this one here. First, is it true that it's the first country to voluntarily dismantle nuclear weapons in the early 90s?
Yeah.
Why, and who agreed to that?
It was a discussion between the Afrikaner government and Mandela. You know, when in the 70s, when I was at school, Africa was turning hardcore. You know, colonies were leaving, but it was turning hardcore Soviet. You know, the Cubans and the Russians were in Angola. The threat was moving south. Rhodesia was the last bastion of kind of, the old world, and they fought on their own for a long time, and then they went. And South Africa was left. And our government said, we're up against it. We need nuclear weapons. In 1972, there was a nuclear power plant built 40 minutes drive from Cape Town, Koeberg Power Plant, in 1972. It's still fully operational.
Till today?
Yeah. I drove past it last week. Fully operational. South Africa was the first country to do a heart transplant. I mean, South Africa's done, has punched so far above its weight in history. If you look at the statesmen, the tech developments, the people it's produced.
The only country that's held a World Cup in cricket, rugby, and soccer.
And we've held it in our country, but we haven't held the cup.
No, not the cup.
Yeah.
Holding it in your country.
Yeah.
I mean, and those 3 sports, I mean, you pretty much get 90% of the world.
South Africa used to be a world leader in a whole lot of areas, and that's not the case anymore.
Okay. You don't put that on Mandela. You put it on Zuma.
I put it on Zuma and Ramaphosa.
Ramaphosa.
And the ANC itself.